Welcome to Auto Marketing Now. On today's show, we're bringing back Alan Krutsch from the Ryan Adams Group to talk about one-price dealership strategies and how to staff for success in the years to come. Of course, we're going to have our popular email grab bags, so what are we waiting for? Let's get started with today's show.
You're watching Auto Marketing Now. Today's show is brought to you by CDK Global, evolving the automotive retail experience.
I want to welcome back to today's show Alan Krutsch with the Ryan Adams Group. This is part 2 of our discussion on building a one-price culture. Alan, welcome back to the show.
Great.
So in part 1, we talked about the why, that dealers are already pretty close to a one-price shop, but they're still giving away a few more $100 after that market-generated price, and dealers are using tools like vAuto and other to really find that perfect market price. We know that consumers don't want to negotiate. We know it's difficult to find young talent and employees that want to work on a commission, model. So today I want to talk about the staffing. If a dealer watched last week's interview and said, "Hey, I'm going to call up Alan. I'm going to pick his brain, see what is involved." The next big thing is, I got old dog salespeople who are used to this model. You want me to turn the ship. How am I going to get the people to really drive this vision? So you told me a story about enterprise rent-a-car.
So I'm going to credit a great friend of mine and a great HR professional, Candace Crane, who is a VP at Hireology, a company that I have a lot of admiration for. And I worked with Candace at the Walser Automotive Group when she was our HR director. And she had had some prior experience at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which is famous for recruiting and developing young talent.
That's right.
And they have a pretty interesting profile. They look for students that are coming out of state colleges.
Okay.
They're not hiring Harvard MBAs. Okay. They're hiring great young kids that went to a state college, that are competitive. Maybe they played some intramural sports, but they have kind of that drive to win, that drive to achieve. And what they do is they recruit these people, and they recruit them to a management trainee program. They show them a future. And we don't do that too often in the car business. We show them a job and a draw.
Yeah, we pretty much say, listen, shadow this guy for a day or two, and then good luck. It's an open sales floor, and, kind of dog eat dog. And of course, I know countless stories working with the Next Up that a managed retail sales process allows people whose personality isn't to fight on the lot for the next customer to thrive in automotive. We're taking it one step further. We're giving college recruits a really good job. Let's talk about that. In Walser or Apple, where you worked, what was that program? Did you follow that Hireology model to really attract these state school, maybe B students, intramural, and bring them with an opportunity to start as a sales associate, move up to a sales manager, move up to?
So the answer is yes. And I want to take a step back and talk about what traditionally we've been offering them. And this may explain the high turnover in this business.
Right.
What we've said, in essence, and this is going to sound a little harsh, not true at all stores, but at many, you're going to get $1,500 a month. I hope you learn how to sell some cars. We have a training program. It's called Sit by Mike. Yeah. Okay, pay attention. He's good at it. Good at selling. I don't know if he's good at training.
Right.
You're going to get that draw. You're going to get a quota. And by the way, did I mention that most of the other salespeople are not going to be nice to you? Because you're taking money out of their pocket when you go get an up. And if you don't sell that up, they're going to be even more resentful. And so the job that we're offering, in many cases, if you look at it through the eyes of that young recruit, is pretty tough.
That's right.
One, how am I going to pay my bills? I haven't been properly trained how to do this, and it's pretty tough.
That's right.
It's pretty tough to learn, which is why so many people fall out. So let's contrast that with a different model that says we're going to pay you an hourly wage, a salary in essence.
Right.
And that's going to be $17 to $20 an hour. It's going to be a starting wage that with some team bonuses, with some performance bonuses, we're going to get you into that $40,000 to maybe $50,000 a year. As I've said, That gets my rent paid. That gets me
gets
a
a
car
car,
payment.
right.
That gets me something in my pocket for Saturday night.
That's right.
I've got a life. Now I can start to learn the trade. And so the successful path, I think, is to show the future. You can become a sales associate, and what we're calling those now are customer specialists or product specialists.
Right.
Because we found most customers don't want to meet a salesperson. They want to meet a product expert or a customer service expert. Sure, we're going to sell them. We're absolutely going to ask them to buy, and we're going to follow up. But that's not going to be our initial approach. So we're starting with a career path that gives people the ability to see what's next, to move up within a company. Here's another thing that I think is important that we don't talk about. If you've just graduated from college, either you or your folks have spent or borrowed tens of thousands of dollars.
A lot of money.
You're going to go home to mom and dad and say, I just got a job as a used car salesman. Great, tell me about that.
Right.
Well, it's $1,500 a month plus, the commission.
That's right.
As opposed to saying, I just went to work in one of the most exciting, one of the biggest industries in America. I'm a management trainee. I've got a career path. I'm starting out in the 40s.
Right.
I get discounts on cars, discounts for my family too.
Right.
I've got a 401k I can contribute to.
Right.
I've got
You
insurance.
Benefits.
Right. So all of a sudden, this looks like a pretty good deal. Now, the second part is we have to train them. And if we take, Walzer is a good example. Apple's a good example too. They do in-depth training. They invest in these people, sometimes up to 13 weeks of training in the classroom, in the store for a week, in the classroom. So they put a lot of money into them.
So Alan, we hear, and I've talked about this for years, develop your why buy. Differentiate yourself in the market. But if all you're doing is advertising price and payment, or I have the largest inventory or the lowest price, and if that experience in the showroom really isn't different than anyone else, it's really not differentiating at all. But when someone walks in, and yes, inventory plays a big part on
Absolutely.
On showroom traffic, being local, but every major market has competitors, within minutes or miles away.
There's no shortage of car dealers in America.
That's right. So, and it's getting worse, right? More points are being opened up all the time. Do you really believe that one price is the solution to create that unique value proposition, that culture that will be memorable in a very competitive, low margin environment?
I don't believe in silver bullets.
Right.
I don't believe there's one thing that makes a business successful. I think this is a pretty good foundation, though, starting from the customer, because a lot of the things that we've done in retail automotive have really been done for the dealer,
Right.
not for the customer.
That's right.
So if we look at this and say, customer first, employee second, financial performance third. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to prioritize financial performance out of this. Right. It just means that if we get the first two right, the third one comes along very nicely.
Right.
If you have a business that customers love, and they love enough to tell their colleagues, their friends and family about, and you have employees that are happy, that feel secure, that they've got a paycheck, secure that they've got a future, typically the financial stuff is going to take care of itself.
That's right.
But if we put finance first and employees and customers second and third, then we don't end up with the type of atmosphere, the type of culture that really attracts people to our business.
And I want to address the elephant in the room, and that's F&I. So part of this, conversation about changing the retail sales experience, changing the culture in our dealership, is this idea, the introduction of a stranger after all the negotiations, after all the communications. Oh, by the way, I'm going to introduce you to the crusher, the F&I manager. The great thing about the Ryan Adams Group is that you work with dealers that have both the dedicated F&I manager and stores where the sales team are trained to do menu selling and offer the F&I products right there as part of that single point of contact. Dealers who are watching today's show are probably cringing. They're thinking, if I take away the F&I desk, even though that's $150,000 a year in many dealerships per F&I manager, and even though it's a bottleneck on a busy Saturday, they don't want to let go. Are dealers really losing back-end gross with a properly trained product specialist doing menu selling?
First of all, I have a lot of respect for F&I professionals.
Absolutely, so do I.
A lot of them, when you have the experience of working with them, you don't think you've worked with the crusher. But what you do find is that you're spending a lot of time with them.
Right.
So there are plenty of dealerships that use a traditional F&I model that don't have great back-end profit. Okay, so there's more to this than just how are we set up.
And how are we structured? Right?
Exactly. So let me contrast the single point of contact with the F&I manager. Biggest problem with F&I manager is that right now customers say it takes too long to give me my money.
That's right.
It's taking too long. I'd like to give you 50 grand. Why do I have to wait in line to do it? And we've got this system that's, tens of years old, where we take 8 lanes of traffic and we put it into 2 lanes,
right.
and we keep trying to drive faster to see if we can push them through,
right.
But it doesn't go any faster.
It doesn't.
And so when you have the single point of contact, you've got 8 lanes going into 8 lanes.
Right.
The success factors there are typically a more simplified menu, 3 or 4 items on that menu. The advantage is that you've got a person who's already established rapport.
That's right.
This is a natural progression.
Right.
And so, I see stores that I don't know if they're world record holders. Are they in the 1,500, 1,700 a copy? No.
Right.
But there's not many traditional stores there either.
Right.
But they're running 1,100, 1,200. Here's something interesting.
And that's 1,100, 1,200 back end with a single point of contact.
Single point of contact.
Got it.
But again, it's training, it's process,
yes.
It's the right products,
right.
It's the right culture, it's all of that. But this is interesting. I'm like you, a student of these new disruptors coming into our industry,
right.
like Carvana. So Carvana sells finance products.
That's right.
They sell them online without a salesperson, with hardly anybody to help them. You can call a person on the phone and get information. Yep. Carvana's running $1,100 a car with no people.
Right.
So if we have a customer specialist that builds rapport, that has a logical way to present those products, right. that makes sense, there's no reason that you can't establish a very good profit at, I will say, a much reduced cost to the business.
Right. And the other thing, I just, from a practical standpoint, because I've walked out, my car two vehicles back, I had to walk out of 2 dealerships, even though I was very transparent on what I was looking for. They wouldn't work with me. And here's the bottom line. You take the friction out. So all of that phone conversation, email back and forth, the customer comes in, the price is off the table. It's a conversation on which model, which color, which in demand. They pick that, you move it through, it eliminates the friction. And I have to believe that really increases that throughput, so we can get more people through the dealership burning gas than ever before.
So I'm one of my favorite quotes is from the great business author and professor Peter Drucker. And he said that the purpose of business is to get and keep customers. And the one-price dealers that we work with, their philosophy is, I want to have this efficient, customer-friendly process, and I want to do it over and over and over. I want more new car buyers. I want more trade-ins to attract used car buyers. I want more service customers, and I want people so happy they repeat it and they tell their friends. So right. It is about increasing throughput. And I think that that's something we have to keep an eye on, because there's no industry, including retail automotive, that's going to prosper if they don't increase productivity.
Right.
The days of paying somebody 25% commission on 12 car sales a month and having them make $100,000, that's over. It's not over because I say so.
Right.
That's the economy.
That's right.
We have to get car salespeople into the 15 to 20 a month. We have to do it quickly and efficiently. We have to value our customers' time. We have to be more productive than we ever been before.
Well, Alan, I'm so glad that you reached out to me to have this discussion, because I really believe the time is right. I hope that dealers watching today's show who are looking to really differentiate themselves in the marketplace, to really work for a sustainable staffing model, improve that customer experience, reach out to you at the Ryan Adams Group to, well, just have a discussion on what your process is like. For those who missed our first part of the interview, what's the website address where people can go to?
It's Ryan Adams Group, and call us. We're happy to chat. This is a big thing, to transform your business like this. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of consideration. We're patient, we're helpful. If we can give you some information, that'd be terrific.
Right. Well, Alan, thanks so much for being on the show, and, well, it's exciting time to be in the car business.
That it is. Thanks, Brian.
And now for today's email grab bag question. An internet sales manager wrote in to ask Brian, we are having difficulties finding the right people to hire in our internet department and our sales floor. What advice do you have to help our dealership find the right candidates? On today's show, Alan Krutsch mentioned a company called Hireology. And I want to recommend that dealers watching today's show reach out to them. A number of our shared clients are raving about the success they have with Hireology. They're smart people that work with each dealer in their local market to find the right winning strategy to create the culture necessary to hire, train, and retain the right people to grow your dealership. Of course, there's great recruiters out there and people who do staffed employment events. And of course, I would recommend that you look into some of those companies as well. But Hireology is taking a different approach with smart technology and training tools to help your dealership find, attract, train, and retain the right people to grow your dealership's brand and culture. So thank you for sending in that question, and I hope you find great success with Hireology. If you have a question and you'd like to submit it to Auto Marketing Now, when I use it on air, I'll send you a free copy of my latest book, Mastering Automotive Digital Marketing, the 2017 edition, which is being used at Northwood University to train the next generation of digital marketing professionals. Thank you so much for watching today's show, and I'll see you next week on Auto Marketing Now.